They told you that you were broken, that the pressure was too much, that what happened to you ruined you. But steel isn't ruined by fire. It's forged by it. And neither were you. The quiet mislabeling. They said you were broken, not always with words, sometimes with silence, sometimes with distance, sometimes with the way they stopped expecting much from you. They saw the exhaustion in your eyes, the hesitation in your voice, the way you no longer reacted the way you used to, and they assumed something inside you had cracked. But broken things collapse under pressure. You didn't. You endured it. Redefining damage. Let's get one thing clear before we go any further. Pain does not mean you failed. Struggle does not mean you are weak. And suffering does not mean you were damaged beyond repair. Those are stories told by people who've never stayed long enough in a fire. Because fire does not exist to destroy everything it touches. Fire reveals. The moment you changed without noticing. There was a moment when life stopped being simple. It didn't announce itself. It didn't give you time to prepare. It just happened. A loss that rewired your expectations. A betrayal that changed how you trust. A responsibility that arrived before you felt ready. And from that moment on, you carried more weight than before. No one handed you instructions. No one slowed down for you. Life said, keep going. And you did, even when you didn't know how. Why the world calls it broken. The world doesn't understand transformation. It only understands comfort and collapse. If you're loud and smiling, you're fine. If you're quiet and guarded, you're damaged. But real growth rarely looks pretty. Growth looks like losing innocence, questioning everything, outgrowing people, standing alone longer than expected. So they labeled you, not because you were broken, but because you were no longer predictable. The fire you didn't ask for. No one asks to be tested. The fire comes anyway. It comes in the form of pressure you didn't choose. Expectations you didn't agree to. Problems you didn't create. And at first, it feels unbearable. You think, this is too much. You think, I wasn't built for this. But something strange happens when escape is no longer an option. You adapt. How forging actually works. Steel is not made strong by accident. It is heated until it softens, struck until it reshapes, cooled until it hardens. Over and over, the heat weakens it temporarily. The hammer feels violent. The process looks destructive. But every strike aligns the structure. And when it's finished, it can withstand forces that would shatter raw metal. You weren't spared the fire. You were introduced to it. The internal shift. The biggest change didn't happen outside you. It happened quietly. You stopped reacting emotionally to everything. You learned when to speak and when not to. You started observing instead of assuming. You became harder to fool, harder to provoke, harder to break. Not because you became cold, but because you became clear. The truth about strength. Strength is not loud confidence. Strength is knowing you've been worse and survived. Strength is calm under pressure. Strength is patience with chaos. Strength is restraint when reaction is easy. That kind of strength can only be earned, and it's always earned in fire. The days no one saw. No one saw the nights you pushed through fatigue. No one saw the mornings you showed up without motivation. No one saw the conversations you had with yourself just to keep going. There was no applause, no encouragement, no reassurance, just you, and the choice to continue. That's where forging happens, not in victory, but in persistence. Scars redefined. You were taught to hide your scars, to pretend the damage never happened. But scars are not proof of weakness. They are proof of survival. Every scar says, "This did not end me." Forged steel carries marks too. And those marks increase its value because they prove it's real. Why you feel different now. You don't fit where you used to. Your tolerance for nonsense is lower. Your standards are higher. Your patience is selective. That's not damage. That's refinement. Fire burns away what isn't essential. What remains is intentional. The confidence that can't be shaken. Forged people don't need approval. They don't panic when challenged. They don't crumble under criticism. They don't chase validation. Why? Because they've already faced something worse than doubt. They faced themselves at their lowest and didn't quit. That creates internal authority. And internal authority is unshakable. When life tests you again. Here's the part no one warns you about. The fire returns. Life will test you again. But the second time feels different. You don't freeze. You don't spiral. You don't collapse. You breathe. You assess. You move. Because now you know who you are. The identity shift. You are not who you were before the pain. And that's the point. That version of you was untested. This version is tempered. The fire didn't take your softness. It gave it boundaries. The pressure didn't steal your hope. It taught it discipline. The quiet power. Forged people don't announce their growth. They move in silence. They choose carefully. They speak with intention. Their presence carries weight. Not because they dominate, but because they've been shaped. Pressure adds density. Say this, not loudly but honestly. I am not broken. I am forged. Forged by moments I thought would end me. Forged by responsibilities I didn't choose. Forged by staying when quitting was easier. The fire did not destroy me. It refined me. So when life turns up the heat again, and it will, don't ask why it's happening to you. Ask what it's shaping you into. Because broken things collapse under pressure. Forged things rise. And you? You were never meant to shatter. You were meant to hold. Grow quietly. Rise daily.